Welcome to Here's What I Learned, a podcast for building a hustle-free, wildly successful coaching business. I'm your host, Jackie Hayes, launch strategist and certified online business manager with an obsession for superheroes and a thorough understanding of chicken math. Join my guests and I as we explore the ins and outs of building a feminist coaching business that embraces both mindset and strategy. Now on to this week's episode. Hello there. Today, my guest is the MFR Coach, Heather Hammell. Heather, I'd love if you could introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah. Hi, Jackie. Thanks for having me today. My name's Heather Hammell. I am the MFR Coach, like you just said. I am a life and business coach for John Barnes trained myofascial release therapists, and I help them grow their businesses to 6 figures and beyond.
I like to start off my interviews with the rapid fire questions so that people get to know you a little bit better as a person. So here is the question for you. If you were going to visit a deserted island, wherever in the world you would like that to be, tropical or whatever, you're going to be alone for 2 weeks without cell service or internet access. What 3 things would you take with you?
Ooh, what 3 things? I would probably bring an ice chest full of ice and very delicious beverages.
Alcoholic or?
I mean, just a variety.
Right, okay.
A chef. Can I bring a chef with me as one of my things?
I guess so, yeah.
And a lot of food. So as long as I can eat and drink and hang out, I'll be totally fine.
You're good. You're good for the 2 weeks. Excellent.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting to hear what people have, offered up. I think it says a lot about people. So
well, I like conveniences and luxury. So there we go.
Yeah, I was going to say, you like convenience, luxury, and food, obviously.
And food, yeah.
Good food. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey as a coach, how you became a coach, and what that evolution has looked like?
Yeah. So I was a hands-on myofascial release practitioner. I am a massage therapist by license. And before that, I was a social worker. So I've always worked with people. I had my myofascial release business for over 10 years. And during the pandemic, I had kind of just gotten my business to where I wanted it to be and where I was going to create 6 figures that year. I had gone through this little mild coaching program, and it had gotten my wheels spinning on how I could be doing my business differently. I started to see it in a completely different way. And then the pandemic happened and I shut down, I reopened, and then I had to shut down again just from where I lived. And I was like, I don't want to deal with this bullshit. I want to have complete control over my business. And I also am so tired of seeing my friends who are in this business under earn and overwork. People were just working their asses off. And it wasn't so evident until everything came to a stop. So I hired my very first coach, not with the intention of becoming a coach, but with intentions of working into my business a little more. But a week into working with her, I was like, I want to do what you do. What you are doing is amazing. And I had this kind of, inner crisis about well, who am I if I'm not a myofascial release therapist, right? And so that is how the myofascial release coach was born. But based on that, out of not wanting to leave my myofascial release community ever, but maybe not do the hands-on work anymore, and to start to help these people to see how easy it was for them to not only not under earn, but become high income earners and serve their customers at a really high level without burning out. So went to the life coach school, got certified, started, did a year of one-on-one coaching. And then for all of 2022 have done group coaching.
Now, obviously, you have a very, very defined niche or niche, however you want to pronounce that, but it came pretty organically. Mm-hmm. If somebody's new to coaching, what would you tell them about the whole idea of having a niche or something along those lines, and how defined it needs to be?
There's just so much niche drama, right? It's just unnecessary, in my opinion. Yep, I knew what I wanted to do, but before I knew what I wanted to do, I didn't know. Right. And it just wasn't a problem for me. So I think the less time people spend on worrying about, well, who am I going to coach, and more time on what do I love? What are the results I love to get for people? And like, that's going to help you determine what you want to do with your, with your coaching business. Right. And it's going to be different for everybody. And there's such a huge need for, quote unquote, like general life coaches. It's totally fine. Like that's not a problem. And the thing that's so super funny, right? When you have a niche, it sounds like, oh, very dialed in, blah, blah, blah. No, I've just picked a subset of people that I'm going to general life coach and we're going to do business stuff. Like that's all that's happening. So yeah.
I like that idea of what results do you want to help people achieve and working kind of like backwards from that idea.
So. Yeah.
What excites you about the work that you do?
Ooh, so many things. Like I get lit up just talking about myofascial release. First of all, like I love the results that you get from having this sort of treatment that you don't get from other treatments. So, and I've had a huge experience in my life where like my husband went from being completely disabled to being able to not be disabled anymore and to live a very normal life. He still has some pain and he still gets regular treatments, but like the transformation of that, like really changed our lives. And it really helped me to see life in a different way. And through my own healing through myofascial release, like I love it so much. And I want everybody to be able to have that sort of experience if they're willing to have it. So that lights me up, like all the possibilities of the world just being exposed to myofascial release more and more. And because it's such a niche modality, right? It's not available everywhere. So like my driving force is like, let's make this mainstream. Let's get this everywhere so that every town in America has at least one or two MFR therapists. So it's not like, oh, what's MFR? I've never heard of that. I had my hip replaced or my knee replaced, like what if you didn't have to, like, or what if you could go longer without it and feel good without these, massive interventions? So, yeah.
I like that you view what you're doing as making it so that there's a bigger impact across the country, across the world, but that you have found a way to be able to scale your impact while not working, trading dollars for hours kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, like, that's a whole nother, like, mind screw, right? Is like when you can make money, but it's not reliant on the hours that you're working. And that's not to say that you just poof all of a sudden generate a ton of money and like go on your merry way and you never have issues or anything. I have so many issues, but it's the same thing. Like I teach my clients, like most of my clients come to me and they are doing like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 90 minutes. And they think that their clients are buying that hour on the table. And I teach them how like the person isn't actually buying 90 minutes with you. They're buying how they're going to feel a week from now and really revamping the way they think about how they sell and what they're selling versus like that time contingent. But yes, like if you're in a service-based industry, you are trading time for money, but like you don't have to sell it in that way.
Yeah. And that applies to coaches as well.
Exactly. Yes.
What have been some of the differences, both positive and not so positive, between one-on-one coaching and group coaching?
Ooh. Well, okay. So I love both for different reasons. One-on-one, like you really get to spend that time together and like you start to learn more and more deeply about people, but it's also true in group coaching. So it's not like one or the other. One-on-one, I think as the coach, you can be a lot lazier because you have a lot more time and like freedom to circle back to things. Whereas in group, like you've got to, you might be coaching 10 people on a call. There might be 25 people, 40 people on that call, but you're going to, coach with 10 of them, 10 different things. Everybody's staring at you. And you've got to have like your energy up to command that room. So that was like a whole nother level of self-concept and expanding into that and like being able to titrate up to be able to perform at that level. And it's funny now, like everything I've ever done is recorded. And like some of my students that are now in my 4th round, like have access to the 1st round videos. And they're like, you've changed a lot in a year. And I'm like, probably, yeah. It's fine.
Like anything, you're building skills and you're, learning new things about yourself as a coach and how to apply what you've learned to the coaching that you
Exactly.
do. So,
Yeah. Well, and I'd hope I'd be a better coach like after 2 years of experience than I was like right out of the gate. Like I would just hope organically that would happen.
yeah,
Maybe not,
we
but
hope so. Yeah.
I'm hoping for it.
How did you know that you were ready to go from one-on-one to group coaching?
Good question. I had recognized in my own practice that I was answering the same questions over and over and over again. So like I was fully booked with one-on-one. And so I was seeing like 15 clients a week and I would answer the same question 15 times that week. And I was like, okay, this is not necessarily what I want to be doing. Became very monotonous for me. And I was also thinking like it's limiting to what's possible for how many people I can help at a time. It like became urgent for me to start helping more people at one time versus like one at a time. Like I'm super thankful that I did one at a time in the beginning because it kind of honed my process. It honed my like how I talk to people and like my whole philosophy behind what it is that I do. So then when I went to group, it was easier to speak to the crowd as if they're one person because they all have the same kind of goals in mind, no matter where they're at in their business, which was also fascinating because in the beginning I thought, well, I can only have newbies, right? Or I can only have advanced coaching for people that already know it all. And I sold myself a little short by thinking that because now there's a whole group of people that coach with me that have now like kind of become good friends and they just coach each other. And which that's great, but they're missing out on all that's possible with the people that didn't have that thought and like didn't hear me say words like that. And they've continued on in coaching. These are the people that are hitting six figures in July and August for the year. So not even taking them 12 months to do it. So, yeah.
If somebody was a fairly new coach and they're thinking, oh, group coaching, I should be doing that, what would you say to them?
I would not start with group, but you totally can. Like, you don't know what you don't know. So, there's really no way to do it wrong. The only thing you could do, which I don't advise doing, is making a lot of offers and then quitting before you ever allow them to work. So like when I started, I just committed to one-on-one for a year, like no matter what. I didn't change my price. I didn't change the container. It was 12 weeks, $3,000. You could re-up, sometimes I would offer a special or something in there, but I didn't change it at all for a year. And then when I decided to do group, I was like, I'm not changing anything about this for an entire year. And here I am like coming up on my 1 year anniversary of group. And I'm going to do much more like without changing this offer. I'm going to just expand my ability to fill this container even fuller and serve at a really, really high level before I change any of the moving parts.
I'm going to guess that your mind was kind of a dick during that year. How did you work through that?
Well, I've had so much support. And this is the other thing. Like, if I had to tell, like, if I was talking to past me from me now, I would just be like, you are a fucking badass. Like, yes, sign up for that program. Yes, get that support. Yes, to everything, like in a constrained manner. Like, it doesn't help you to sign up for a bunch of programs with no intention of doing them. So I found mentors really early on. Is it okay to mention?
Oh, yeah.
That here. Okay. Yeah. So like, for instance, while I was at the life coach school, I was introduced to Stacey Bayman's podcast. So I started listening to Stacey Bayman's podcast. She runs several programs, 2K for 2K, 200K. It's all for life coaches. And I bought her 2K for 2K program back when like $2,000 was like $200,000 to me. And I was like, holy shit, what am I doing? I just spent 20 grand to go to life. What's happening? And I just started going through her process. So I got really good at consults, right? Step one. And so I signed up for her program. I think in September. I started life coach school in September, and I had my first paying client in October, like before I ever even graduated. So the part where I was like able to do that right away helped fuel my confidence. It helped fuel like my thought process that like all of this is working. And it just kept me going. And so I was like, okay, then who's next? Like, who am I helping next? And I really had this idea that I knew enough about my own myofascial release business that I didn't suffer too much with like imposter syndrome. Like, who the hell am I to be coaching people when like I'm not actually a coach? But like, I mean, I ran that business for over a decade. I kind of knew what I was doing. And I could see all of the things that I was doing wrong so that I could keep people who were starting from making those same mistakes, which is super valuable. So Stacey Bayman right away. And then I was introduced to Simone Soul just through Stacey's programs, I think. Like she was on her podcast. And I was like, oh, she's kind of a weirdo. Like I need some of that in my life. And I also thought like, maybe I could get into her mastermind, but probably not. But I'll go ahead and apply just because like I've heard when you apply for these big masterminds, like there's some sort of transformation that happens. So $20,000 later, like before I ever even I think it was the same month I graduated from LCS, like I got into Simone's program. And that right there was true. There was a transformation that happened. And then I had my first like $10,000 a month. And the other thing is I didn't qualify income wise to be in her mastermind. So I was instructed to make my money back before we started. And I did. And I had never created that much money, $20,000 in, like a 4 to 6 week period in my life ever in anything I'd ever done. Like that's like baller money to me. I was like, what is happening? So, I learned how to become the person that can generate money like that, like on a dime. So I did that, did 2 rounds with her. And then I wanted to get very specific with scaling my business. So I, then applied for Stacey Bayman's 200K mastermind, and I'm in that now. So long answer to your question is get support and don't be afraid to put yourself in rooms that maybe you're not ready for because it just up levels you and grows you as a person. So, yeah.
I know that on your podcast, you recently had an episode where you talked about not having coaching support during your last launch. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Show. Yes. I mean, thank God I had you, right? And I know we're going to talk about that more, but I somehow in my brain was like, it's not that long between when Simone's mastermind ends and Stacey's starts. Like we're talking like March to August. How is that not a long period of time? But whatever. And I was feeling graspy and poor. And so like, I didn't want to spend the money to have a coach or join another program. In fact, I had like tried to join another program and like couldn't get into it. So it wasn't helpful for me. So I went through my entire launch by myself. I mean, I had you, but like I did not have a coach and it was fine, but it was terrible emotionally, mentally. Like it was like one of my launches that I will always be the most proud of because I did the most intentional work, but it was very difficult emotionally and mentally. So I ended up hiring my very first coach back. Like I just was like, Hail Mary pass, like, can you take me on for a couple of weeks? Because I was getting ready to leave for 200K and I wanted to be like, I had been training with my trainer 4 times a week to physically feel like my most fittest. But at the same time, like my brain was in like the worst condition ever. So I was like, could you like get me, like whip me? Like, let's just go through let's like look in here and fix this, like clean it up so that I'm not suffering like this while I'm in a room like that I paid $25,000 to be in. Like I want to have a $200,000 brain when I walk into that room. And we were able to accomplish that. So yeah, I don't recommend going off of coaching. At this point, I don't know why I ever would be without one, not because I'm dependent, but it's just so valuable to me to have someone else showing me my brain. So and my biggest limiter.
I think it's, everybody always asks, that question of like, what is stopping you from XYZ? And my answer is always me. Like I'm always this factor. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever my brain is telling me right now is what it is. Yeah. So,
and it just seems like the truth when it's your brain. Yeah.
Well, and your brain is always looking to, find the evidence for what it wants to tell you, and it's so good at doing
Sure.
it. It's
So
like
good. Such a
instantaneous.
dick.
Yeah, it's such a dick. So you mentioned that we worked together. We did a launch strategy VIP day. Can you tell me initially why you reached out to me and what you were feeling at that time?
I think I know what I was thinking was like, what would happen if I make this very intentional? Because I had done what,
Two or
two launches
three.
on my own, two or three. I can't, what even day is it, right? Like, I think I'd done two. So this is like my third launch. And I hadn't, like for every other launch, like I just decided like the week before, this is what we're doing. Like not intentional. And it's fine. It was working, right? I was getting like 18 to 20 people, which was perfect. They were all paying in full. It was not a problem. And then I was like, what would happen if we get intentional? If I did like a training ahead of time and I started to kind of put myself out there more and very intentionally. And so I'm trying to think of like, who did I even get your name from?
I think it was Serena.
Oh yeah, it was Serena. Yep, that's right. This is the other thing. Like when you surround yourself with really cool people who are like several steps ahead of you or one step ahead of you, you get introduced to their people and that creates a much bigger life for yourself. So that's right. Serena introduced me to you. And we did that. Yeah. Like I was just thinking like, what would it be like if I had help?
And so, what was the launch VIP day experience like for you? And then, once that was done, how did you feel? What were some of the results that you experienced? So,
Mhm. So it was so thorough and it like you asked questions that I had not really considered before. So it helped me look at my business in a different way. And organize it in a different way and like really understand like, okay, this is actually who I'm selling to. Like I got very specific on who I'm selling to. Cause I think prior to that, I was just kind of like trying to talk to these people. Like it's all within my niche, all the MFR therapists, but I was like, I think I need to talk to people that have been in business for 20 years and make sure that they don't feel like something's wrong with their business if they come for coaching. Like I was just talking like out too many sides of my mouth to too many people. So I got very specific that it was like, no, I want the beginner MFR therapists that have had a few training sessions under their belt or all the way up to someone who has been in business for 20 years, but has never felt good in their business. Like I just was able to like find the words for it. So it wasn't so confusing. And when I wasn't confused, it turns out my audience isn't confused. So crazy.
who thought
So
that?
yeah, so we just like everything was just dialed in. Now, the unfortunate event that happened to me was I got COVID right before we were supposed to work together. But even with a COVID brain, like we were able to knock so much out. Like it just wasn't a problem. And you were able to introduce me to like some technology and some different things that I hadn't considered before to make things run more smoothly, be more automated, because I was doing everything piecemeal all myself. You introduced me to the idea of like hiring a VA, asking for help. I was like, what would a VA do? I don't know. I don't need any help. Now I have all the people working for me.
So I know that your enrollment numbers didn't really dramatically change from your past launches to these launches, but I know that other numbers, there was some differences. I know that the copywriter that you worked with helped you look at your conversion rate on some of your emails. I know that for one of your Q&A sessions, you had a 100% conversion rate. So can you talk about some of the other numbers that you looked at, as well as like, I know there was a shift in the enrollment, like who applied and was part of that?
Yeah, there was a huge shift in who applied. So typically what I was getting were re-enrollments from people that had worked with me either one-on-one or people who had been in previous groups. It would usually be like 50%, sometimes a little more. And then like a few new people, right? I was always getting between 18 and 20 people each time. But for this specific time, I wanted to enroll people without doing any consult calls, which was the biggest change. So I relied heavily on my copy and like the execution, right? Like the get people here so they do these things. And I had 20 people enroll. I gave one refund for good reason. And so I ended up with 19 people, which was great. So like, it really like was the same as any other group. Even at 19, I'd call that the same. Which was really cool. I had a hard time accepting that that was good because in my mind, I thought, well, if I do this intentionally, I should have 30 people enroll. So I had to do some coaching around cleaning this like entitlement up that I kind of had about like how many people I should have by now. Like that, it didn't even make any sense at the time. Like to go from doing all one-on-one calls on consults to create clients to none of that to just doing a few like lives. And I did like a 5-day training, to the same result was like really incredible and massive change. And to have that result was really, really good.
And then how many were like brand new to the program?
Yeah. And
launch?
15 of them were brand new.
So you created a new audience or client base, I guess. I mean, they're probably all part of your audience at one point in time, but these are like
and I created, and this is the thing, like these are my best fit clients. And not that people in previous groups weren't my best fit clients, because I love all of my clients, but like really this was a measure of like best fit, like eager to learn, showing up, not confused, want to get everything they can out of it, want to do multiple rounds. I had someone tell me yesterday that they're in for a year. Like they're like, I've already made the decision. I don't have to make it again. I'm just going to keep re-upping for an entire year, just see what's possible. I'm like, yes, because my program really is designed to do it multiple times. And I mean, like, I'm just getting started.
And I love this this idea of like knowing that the enrollment numbers didn't go up, but the people are even greater fits. And I think we tend to, when it comes to launches, only have one goal, which is the revenue goal or the number of enrollments, when there's 100 other things that you can use to measure success, and therefore no launch is ever actually a failure.
Yeah. Well, and like, even if only one person enrolled or none enrolled, like while I would be not happy about it, like, but I would learn something from it. So like, this is a really good thing too, like that I'm learning in my mastermind now is like, you are either winning or you are learning. And when you choose to look at it like that, you're not going to get stuck in the weeds of the river of misery where you're like, have to beat yourself up over whatever result you got versus like, how did I exactly create this result? What is my radical responsibility in this? And what do I want to do about it for next time? Like, do I want to sit here and cry for 3 months or do I want to just relaunch or what do I want to do? So like I had someone drop out of the last round and like I immediately sent out an email, like with no hesitation that spot was there. And within 5 minutes, 2 people signed up for it. So like the demand is there and I just have to keep believing that it's there. Like I've created this demand and this next round is going to be fire.
What did you learn from the launch that we did together and strategized on that you're going to apply to this launch that's coming up?
So I learned that I want to do a much shorter launch period. So I launched for the entire, like my cart, like we'll say launch, like my cart was open the entire month of June. And I started the month off with a 5-day training event, which was while I loved the training event, 5 days is just too long for my nervous system. So for the next one, we're going to make it 3 days. Boom, no problem. And the cart is going to open on the 3rd day of that live event and stay open for 1 week. I feel like I can maintain the energy going into that event and hold that for an entire week. No problem. Like, and it's all planned out. And I remember the feeling I had when we set out to do the launch that we worked on together, where going into that live event, like I was juiced up and excited because we had just done all of that strategy just like 2 weeks before. That was the other thing. Like I'm always doing stuff at the last minute, right? Like we had to plan that launch really quickly and we did. And it was invigorating to me and it created what it created. Like I'm trying to think of how many people I had come to that live event. I think it was almost 30. And of them, it was a pretty high conversion rate. So, and then it was like, I held that energy and then I was like, whoop, right? No coaching, terrible dick brain. So it was hard to get through the end of the month. And I feel like when my dip in energy happens, my dip in sales happens. People can smell that energetic BO from a mile away.
I love that energetic BO. And I do remember our follow-up call, like the 30-day follow-up call was right when you were hitting that. It was your cart was closing and you were just like, yeah, you were done. You're like, I'm just going to crawl in the corner.
Like, I hate everybody. I'm going to leave.
And I think that's something a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to have the cart open for a month because that just gives people all more time to sign up. No, you have early adopters, late adopters. You have nothing in the middle. Do you really want to hold the energy for that for like 28 days? So
no. My eventual goal is to be like cart open for 3 days and like have that demand, like oversell, have that demand there. And like, it just is what it is. And I know, the other thing too, that I didn't have for certain in that launch that I've like evaluated to change for my next one is like a definitive number of how many people I'm taking. And I was very afraid to like say it out loud so that anyone could hear me, right? Because what if I fail? And it's 30 people for this one. And like, even if 40 people apply, like I'm closing the door at 30 and that's what it will be. And I'm completely fine with leaving money on the table. This will be a big expansion to go from 19 to 30. And I want to be able to serve at a super high level where everybody is getting the same results. And I also want to just see what it's like to close a door, even while there are people there ready to pay me. It'll be okay.
Yeah. What are you doing to help your brain with that idea of possibly leaving money on the table? Because I think you get into a scarcity mindset, you as in people, and you're like, well, if there's the demand, I better take it now because who knows down the road. How are you working on your thoughts with that?
So I'm getting a lot of coaching, and I've coached myself on this quite a bit to get to this place. I had coaching last week with a peer, and because I was still wishy-washy, I was like, but really I would love 40. Like really, I would just love it. And what it came down to though, is like by saying it's 30, but allowing for 40, like I wasn't deciding. And that indecision was keeping me spinning, right? It was keeping my brain focused on that. Like, even if it was very subtle, there was a lot of energy going towards that number versus like, just decide and believe and trust that even if you say no to 10 to 20 people this round, like that doesn't mean you have to actually say no to the money. Like they could prepay for the next round and hold their spot. Like there's so many options available, and I will have some clarity on that soon, what I'm going to be doing. And also I can just trust that they will be back in January. It'll be okay. Yep. It's not an emergency.
Now, I know that you did something different with this upcoming launch and that you created a pre-enrollment period. And I know you had lots of reasons for that. Would you mind talking about what that experience is, why you chose to do that, and then what some of the results have been from that?
Well, I was getting ready to leave for 200K. I was feeling very like jazzed up, energetic, motivated, and excited. And also I wanted to prep my audience for what was coming for the regular enrollment in October. And I just had this idea. I was talking to my finance officer, and she was like, like everybody in this round is going to be done with payments in September. So, how is your brain doing with like not having any income till the end of October after that? And I was like, oh, I mean, like, that's what I'm planning for. It'll be fine. She's like, yeah, that's totally fine. And then there was some other projects that I wanted to pay for. She's like, if you want to generate revenue, like you could do one-on-one. Like we were like just brainstorming. I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to do a pre-enrollment, and it's fun to do a pre-enrollment bonus, and let's just see what happens. And so I just like quickly put it together, but it was like not from scarcity and just from like, this is fun. Let's just see what happens. I sent out a couple of emails on my way to the airport and had 13 people enroll. I had it open for just a couple of days. And the other cool thing was like a lot of the people that enrolled early for November are in my current group. So they're already paying me. They had been in there for 4 weeks and they were like, hell yes, book me for the next one. I'm just going to pay you even more money to hold my spot for that. Like that was a shift in my thoughts about what my clients are willing to do, what they believe the value of this is, and also like that people will pay for this and they don't need a discount. Because there was other times where I was like trying to figure out my launch where like if someone was on a payment plan that they wouldn't have to make 2 payments in a month. Well, it's very obvious in this scenario that people don't mind doing that for the entire time they're in the group.
Yeah.
Some of them are making double payments for like every month they're in there, except for the first 2 months, right? Like it's crazy. So yeah, it's just not a problem. And so now I only have 17 spots to fill my 30-person container.
And launch hasn't actually officially started yet.
Yeah, I don't start until October.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's great.
Does that
I created my own demand. Like and that was the thing. Like, I don't think I trusted in the demand before. I trusted that I almost made my current clients like responsible for my result, right? Like I need them to re-enroll in order to feel like this is successful versus like, there's so many people, like I'm only focused on the people that want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How has it felt to be open about the number that you're enrolling? Because I know that was something you worked on. It's like being open and out about, no, I have 30 spots. Before it was just kind of like, there's spots open. So
yeah. Well, I thought it was like this really big, vulnerable thing to do. Turns out like nobody cares. And if somebody is out there and they're like, oh, she has 30 spots, but she only got 10, whoa, like she sucks. Like, I mean, do I care what that person thinks? Probably not. Probably not. So, but that was it. It was like, oh, well, if somebody knows and then I don't do it, am I going to feel ashamed of myself? Am I going to be embarrassed? Am I going to feel vulnerable? And like, I think anytime we tell the truth about stuff and other people have room for opinions, it's really like what are our opinions of ourselves that's coming out. But, there's vulnerability there. I am willing to feel any feeling in order to get to where I want to go. I want to be $1 million earner. I want to do that before I turn 45. Like I want to help a lot of people. So in order for me to earn $1 million in this business in 1 year, I've got to help hundreds of MFR therapists. Bottom line, I got to help them before I see that result. Like that result will be a lag that will show up as a lag in my bank account for the results that I put out into the world. So it's work I can be proud of.
What would be one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who is getting ready to launch either their first group program or their 5th group program? What would you say to them?
I would say sooner rather than later, hire someone like you, hire Jackie to help just minimize the collateral damage that can happen when you are just coming at it from every direction with no direction. So having that direction sooner and then being able to learn that skill, that evaluation skill, which is something you help with in the, after 30 days, is going to change the face of your business for launches to come, for groups to come. So, and also don't get discouraged if it doesn't go how you think it's going to go. Don't abandon it just because it doesn't work the first time, because it just takes time. And the more you like continue on with the same offer and you do it over and over and over again to where like you can sell it like a no-brainer, you will be able to sell any offer you create later on, as long as you are in that relationship with it. Like it's your lover for over, like you want to be in a long-term committed relationship to that offer before you change it.
Yeah. Coming at something with a new relationship energy is very different than having, like you said, a long-term committed relationship with something, whether that's your offer or a partnership. So
yeah.
So I really focus on creating hustle-free strategies for coaches. So I'm curious, what is one way that you have taken the hustle out of your business?
I think all of the automations that you introduced me to that were possible, and then the scheduled and on purpose time off. Like I never considered that before. That was one of the like, oh, that's a funny consequence, like a funny outcome, like that I didn't consider when we worked together. Like I took off all of July except for the very last week as like on purpose. And that was like a decision that we made together. And I plan to move that forward. Like I'm taking off the last 2 weeks of October. Actually, I'm off after my cart opens, I'm off until November 1st. So like I'm off from the 12th or the 13th until November 1st. So, and I'm just going to always do that. Why not? It's just something that though, like I would have never considered doing because like, if I'm not working, what is my value? And like, what am I doing? What are people going to think? And it's like, I don't really care because like well-rested Heather, like has a lot better ideas than frazzled Heather, hustle Heather.
And you're coming into the start of a group with being re-energized, reinvigorated, your cup's been filled back up, as opposed to jumping right from closed cart to the next day is the kickoff call.
And that's what I was doing. There was like very little time in between. And I felt like I was like cross-eyed going through that. Like I didn't have time to even like process the end of one group, which like there's some processing and like some not grieving, but like it's just weird to go from seeing people so much to not seeing them anymore. And then you start fresh with new people. I imagine teachers go through this a lot. It's like you get connected and then like they move to the next class or whatever. So yeah, just like to have that closure period, regroup, think about nothing, think about lots of things. Don't answer any questions for a few weeks. It's nice.
So where can the audience find you?
Well, if you're looking for me, you can find me on social media at the MFR Coach, or you can visit my website, themfrcoach.com, or you can catch my podcast, the MFR Coaches podcast, on whatever your favorite podcast place is. And I also have a book on Amazon called The MFR Coaches Guide to Having Your Own Myofascial Release Business. Those are all the places you can find me.
And I will say that your podcast, even though it has, the title of MFR Coach in it, I have learned a lot from it. And I'm obviously not an MFR coach. So even when you interview other, MFR practitioners, them talking about their business journey, I think anybody who is a business owner or an entrepreneur can learn something from listening to their journeys. So
thank you. That's a huge compliment. I have to agree. Yeah, there's a wide variety of business advice and information and content in there that, yeah, business is business.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thanks for having me.
And that's it for today's episode. Please be sure to share it and leave a review. For show notes and transcripts, visit JackieHayes.me. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to my email list. You'll receive weekly launch strategy tips straight to your inbox, plus access to my launch strategy resource library. Thanks for joining. Until next time, keep on learning.